Hi, so welcome to this episode of the Introvert series. I am so excited to have the wonderful Sam Pearce with us today. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Sam and I have known each other. We were trying to work this out the other day, weren't we? Because we met at a mastermind group and we were trying to work out 5 or 6 years ago. And so we've known each other a while. And it's been a real pleasure because we have got a little bit of a reveal, haven't we? Because you've got a book coming out. Do you want to just give them a little sneak peek about it, what it looks like? Because I'll have on this side as well.
So out today.
So out today, is it today the official day?
Yeah,
fabulous.
Later this afternoon.
So, and the book's called Broken to Brave. But I've got Sam here because you are an introvert, and a conversation you and I were just having was as a small business owner and being an introvert yourself, you had to work out how to get comfortable being the face of your business. So let's start first of all. What is your definition of introvert? What does that mean to you?
To me, an introvert is somebody who is happy to just keep to themselves. They're happy with their own space. They're happy with their own time. They don't need anything external to feel comfortable and happy and nice where they are. They don't feel the need to, splash stuff all over social media and say, "Hey, look at me." Then yeah, that's kind of what I see as an introvert.
Now, I have just picked up on that maybe the opposite is, "Hey, look at me." So what is it when you see people doing that, "Hey, look at me"? What is it? And I'm gonna use the term we use as a bit of lightheartedness of us being curious about our stories that we make up. When you see someone that, what are you making up about the people that do, "Hey, look at me"?
They are kind of the opposite of an introvert, but they like being center stage. They love that attention. They're comfortable being the public face of whatever it is that they're doing. And they're just loud, bubbly, happy people. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, just as there's absolutely nothing wrong with being an introvert.
Yeah, and do you know what? That's the really important bit, and a bit like the happy and comfortable bit is the bit I want to pick up on, because I think that the reason I'm running this series is people can often see the extrovert, and I would be put in that box, somebody that's quite comfortable to go out and talk, be on the stage, quite happy to speaking, and they make an assumption because we're talking and we're on the stage, we are comfortable, and they have no idea what is going on inside. Yep. And equally, you could have someone that's quiet, more reserved, more reflective. That's the sort of labels you'll put to the kind of behavior where there's not a lot of external noise going on. And people seem to have a default mechanism of assuming that's a lack of confidence, where actually what I'm noticing the more I work with people on what they need to work on and live at their best, both on their own and with other people, is actually when we're at our best, we're both comfortable to speak when we have something to say, and we're quite comfortable to be quiet. And actually and I'm always fascinated at how much of the issue comes from just criticizing what is, instead of just accepting people as they are. So in your experience, have you faced criticism for being introverted? Have you had people trying to make you more extroverted?
Yeah, I have, quite very early in my relationship with my husband Nathan. And whenever I was quiet or just happy to just sit and read a book or anything, my husband's the type that he's always wanted to do something. He's got a lot of energy, and he's got quite a big personality, and he would always think that there was something wrong if I was just sitting quietly, just enjoying my own space. It was like, is this something, the matter, something bothering you? Is this something, and it was just, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm just enjoying space. I'm just enjoying, whatever little thing that I was doing, even if it was just staring off into space, daydreaming. And it took a while for us living together to, understand that, okay, he's got to be doing something or he gets bored to tears. And likewise, he knows that I do need that time to just sit and not do anything. And we find that balance between the two. But yeah, that's kind of the immediate one that comes to mind as.
Yeah. I can so resonate with that because I'm a talker. Of course, if I go quiet, people think there's something wrong, and I've had to sort of educate my friends and family that it's like, what's the expression? I don't really know, the resting bitch face. It's like when I'm actually resting, I don't look happy, but you can't, when you're processing or you're thinking or reflecting or just your attention's not on other people. We don't necessarily. It would look a bit weird, wouldn't it, if you were sat in the corner like that?
Yeah.
But when we're resting, and I remember years ago for one of our retreats, we had photographs taken of people while they were reflecting, and everyone looked constipated. And it's like we had to pose to look happy so that they looked like they were enjoying themselves out here. Because when people were taking time out quietly to reflect, and when they were processing, we do pull funny faces like, but it doesn't give other people that feedback, does it? That we're happy and we're okay. And I think that's, if we can do one thing with this series, is hopefully blow some of those things out of the windows and just leave the viewers. And I hope that's what we all get from this episode, guys, is that, you know, next time you find yourself thinking, are they miserable? Just check in with yourself. Where's your judgment coming from? What is it? And is it you need them to look happy, or could you just be happy with the way that they look? It's just like because it does make a difference, doesn't it, if someone smiles and they're joyful, etc. But that's a lot of effort if you've always got a smile for everybody else. Its purpose. So we're here and we really want to talk about From Broken to Brave, which is obviously out today, and this video will be out hopefully on our channel next week. So tell us a little bit about the book. I know that I was very privy to your speech yesterday and talk, and it was really heartfelt. And but just tell us a little bit. I know you said something about there's a chapter in there that's relates to this introvert thing. So tell us a little bit more.
So basically, From Broken to Brave it's kind of my life story, but not told as a biography. What I've done is sort of taken key turning points in my life and looked at the lessons that I learned from each one. Now, you know, it might have been years later that I learned the lesson or even realized that there was a lesson in the experience. But, you know, and sort of looking back over all of those experiences and the lessons that I've learned, I found that writing the book, or my purpose for writing the book, was to give people hope and inspiration that no matter what has happened in their lives, no matter how bad or, you know, traumatic their experiences have been, that your past doesn't have to dictate your future. There is silver linings to everything. It may take years for you to find what that silver lining is, to find what that lesson is, and probably even longer to start applying that lesson to your life. But you know, there is always something to learn, you know, no matter how dark the experience is. And, you know, and I do touch on, you know, some quite painful topics, suicide, depression, drug addiction, domestic violence, and then, you know, the ups and downs that go with starting a business and, you know, learning my way through how that all, you know, works and how I need to fit into my business and everything that surrounds that, and some of the catastrophic mistakes I made in early on.
It's interesting because in the confidence model that we work with through the step-by-step listening, is we've got an E called embed the learning. And often we lose confidence when we don't embed the learning, i.e. we make a mistake, but we don't learn from it. If we don't learn from it, we tend to repeat it again and again until we learn the lesson. So it's really lovely hearing you talk about this learning the lesson. And I know that when we were off air, you were talking about one of the things that one of the questions that most people have asked you, being an introvert, is how did you get comfortable talking about such private stories and sharing stuff? And I know when we spoke, obviously there's some stuff in the book now that even your parents, who you're very close to, hadn't heard, didn't know the real nitty-gritties of the details. And so you've done this reveal, and you've been very vulnerable in the book. So as an introvert who likes really to do everything on the inside and doesn't really like to have to share or articulate it externally, how did you get comfortable with sharing such private information?
It was resonating really deeply with the reason why I wanted to publish this. There's a lot of coaches and therapists that I've worked with that advocate writing as a therapy. Being able to write out a story for you to be able to kind of externalize it and look from a different perspective. And when I initially started writing this, I didn't actually have the plan of publishing it for the entire world to see. This was just going to be a private therapy session, basically. But as I started getting more into it, finding that it was actually fairly easy to write, the reason for wanting to publish it started coming more to the forefront, and that was that if I can help just one single person avoid or deal with some of the similar circumstances that I've been in, specifically if anyone has been in a domestic violence situation, if I can help them just a little bit, then it's worth the discomfort of being vulnerable and just letting people in, if I can just help someone. And it's a motivator that drove me through to say, no matter how scared you are, this is a worthwhile thing to do.
Yeah. And it takes me back to that thing about any change, isn't it? The pain of not changing has to be greater than the pain of changing itself. And so it sounds like you are focusing on that. Even though it's uncomfortable for you to do it, if you left those other people without the clues, the signposts, the hope, the inspiration, the pain of knowing those people are still suffering when you could have done something to help is where you've been putting your attention. And it's really important that we learn that we have that control, that we can guide our attention. Now we've got a bit of time, so I also want to ask the question, because we talked about it off air, that as an introvert, self-employed, and in case you don't know, guys, this is the publisher that helps me get my books out, and who is whipping my bottom to make sure that the Do Delegate book does get out. But I love you dearly because of your organization skills, and where your introvertedness comes in is because you're in your own when it comes into systems. You don't need to spend time like me talking through ideas and working it all out. It's like written down methodically, and you can like quickly calculate when things are going to happen. And you are in partnership now with your husband running the business, but it was just you at the beginning. So you were the face of your business. And you were saying earlier that you weren't comfortable really being the face, but now you are. So what happened in between? What was involved in that journey or that transformational change?
Well, for a bit of background, I've been running my business for about 11, getting close to 11 years now. And, through pretty much the first 3 quarters of me running my business, there was absolutely nothing about me in my business at all. And it was all very, very clinical, very corporate. And, my brand was my business, not me.
Can I just interrupt to clarify what this might have looked like? Because I was around when I'd met Sam about this time. So just to sort of put some perspective on this, what Sam's saying is her website, that like I don't even think there was a picture of her on it. It was all about the services. It was all the the products, what you could get. If you pay this, you get this. And there was no, I think, person or personality within your brand. Would that be a reasonable? I just want to clarify what you meant by what you said, because I remember now that those conversations, even in the mastermind classes, like when we were looking at what how our websites looked and what were perceived. It was very impressive, by the way, website. Very, very smart and neat. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that. So you had this website, and it didn't really have you in it.
And then the website it wasn't just the website. It was everything to do with my business, my social media, my website. Any marketing that I did wasn't face to face. I wasn't involved in anything to do with my business aside from running it and actually delivering anything. And I'm kind of I look back on that time and I think, how the hell did I actually get through the periods that I did?
I was just wondering, how did you get clients? Where did they come from in those early days?
It was all online. it was mostly all online. And, the joys of modern technology, you don't have to, go out and talk to people if you really don't want to. And at that time, I really, really didn't want to. And it started off with Ian Dixon, basically just constantly beating me over the head with, you have to go networking, face-to-face networking was my idea of hell. Standing up in front of a room of strangers talking about myself and my business was tantamount to torture. And I hated every second of it, but I realized that it was something that I had to do if I wanted my business to go to the next level. And the next step up from that was actually somebody who also works with Ian, Brad Burton, who is the founder of For Networking. I ended up in his mastermind group. And when you join Now What Club, you get what's known as a 10-minute Bradding. It's a phone call with Brad that is literally just 10 minutes. He's one of these people, if you've never met Brad, he's really, really direct, quite abrupt. And it was literally, okay, you've got 10 minutes. What's the biggest problem in your business? Go. It's like, And, and I tried to explain this amorphous feeling that I was having about my business, that it's just not doing what I want it to do. And he dropped the bombshell that the reason why your business isn't successful is because you aren't in it. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. No, my business is me. I'm the only person in my business. How can I not be, present in my business? And it was, that conversation happened 3.5 years ago. Yeah. So over the past 3.5 years, I've been taking the conscious effort of, okay, I am terrified of public speaking. I am terrified of being, out there for people to see. How the hell am I going to work around having to do that in order for my business to be successful? And there isn't really any easy answer to it, aside from the fact that you just do it until you get comfortable doing it. I still don't,
I think the thing I want to add, because one of the things I talk to people about is you have to have clarity of what you wanted. So you've made a decision first and foremost that you recognize that the advice from these experts, Ian and Brad, is that you've got to be more visible. You then got to get confidence, and confidence can either come from you sort of resourcing yourself, but you have to sometimes just do it and get feedback and then realize you didn't die, nothing horrible happened, it was just uncomfortable or whatever. But I think also when we're going through change, we have to have support. And I'm not, this is not really an advocate for me, but I know that we were part of a networking group called Business Builders, and you did your first presentation. And I think it's really important, if you're going to step out and make yourself vulnerable in these places, and I say this to everybody, and Brené Brown talks about it a lot, you do need to, when you're going to make sure you've got the support network around you, because it doesn't matter what you put out there, people will criticize it. Yeah. Because if they know better, they've got wisdom they want to share with you. They want to protect you. They want to make sure you don't make a fool of yourself. They've always got things they can tell you that could be better. But when you've got a good network of people around you that can also tell you what was already amazing about it, then you can build on that each time you do it, can't you? Because I don't know about you, that if you haven't got that support network, Brené Brown uses an expression that I really love, is you can have like a shame hangover, because you do it and it was really scary. But if you haven't got any feedback that says to you it was okay, you can think, oh my God, why did I do that? And you can then take ages before you do another one or have another go. Yeah. So from what I'm hearing is that the thing is, you just do it. And actually that's the first chapter in my book. So that would be interesting.
It's also a lesson in my book, and as well, of, just have the courage to get back in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to just do it. And what I remember when you told the story yesterday about it is you did have your husband encouraging you. And I think so many times people forget that you can do the just do it. But I talk about the motivated actions. One of the principles is party, but have a party of people around you. You've got to have particularly whether you're an introvert or even an extrovert like me, sometimes the value of having a voice outside of you that's going, you've got this, you're okay. But as an adult, it can feel quite needy to ask for that. And I think you and I have been very lucky to be part of a very strong network. 4N is particularly strong like that. Business Builders that we're also part of, and Ian Dixon's community as well. We're part of a local community. They are communities that really look out for you. And I think it's important people find those places where they belong. So as we bring the interview to an end, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing. I have to confess, you have really missed out on hearing some juicy bits from the book, so you're going to just have to buy it. And we're going to put the link below in the YouTube channel, so please look up the link for Sam's book. But just tell us a little bit about, because I know that you're really passionate about making a difference, and I know that there's some fundraising going on with the sales of this book. So just tell us a little bit about that before we close, and then we'll say goodbye on this episode.
So, and obviously, quite a significant part of the book is, surrounding my experiences of domestic violence. Part of the reason that was my driver to get over all of the introverted, hang-ups that I had and actually publish this book was wanting to help people that are in similar situations. Definitely, throughout lockdown, and I've been hearing some, horrific statistics of how much worse it is getting because of lockdown, that people who are in domestic violence situations, there's no escape now. They're stuck. And, I took the decision very, very early on that 50% of the proceeds that I earned from Burton and Brave, I was going to be donating to the domestic violence charity Refuge. They are, one of the best and wide-reaching charities here in the UK for domestic violence. They're advocating at government level and things like that. So if we can, just give a little bit, none of us can, stamp out domestic violence by ourselves, but together, hopefully we can, raise money for charities like Refuge that can offer that level of support that I didn't have. So
yeah. And I think, so I'll leave you there, and we're going to leave on the episode. But what I'm just realising, we've got another series going all about confidence, and I think there's something in there about the confidence to leave. I've worked with a local refuge here for the last 25 years, and it would be good to get on and just share some of the stories, some of the really challenging environments that people find themselves in, and just talk about your experience of actually leaving, and perhaps we can read that chapter from your book as well. But I'd love to share the stuff that I know and the work that's going on, because there is help out there. There is a way of getting out of it. And all change takes courage. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Listening Detective TV. And don't forget, for a better perspective, call the Listening Detective. Thanks for joining us today.